So I've just finished the day job and I'm on the walk home. But I decided to take the longer walk home, the longer route. Why? Just to get a bit of variety, to break a habit. Which makes me think, what is a habit? Well, normally people think about habits as being good or bad. But I think we need to really start to analyze our habits. Habits can be good because habits, from a neuro point of view, help you to be more efficient. There's certain things that you need to do regularly, like learning new things, for example. But there's other habits that might not be necessary. And if anything, if you look at habits as patterns of process and procedure, things that are predictable in a workplace in particular, those are the exact things that AI will be looking at automating. So how do you start to rewire your brain so that you can start to do things a different way? And focusing on habits is one of the first things. And that really has to happen at a fundamental level, because many of the habits that you have, by their very nature, you might not even notice that they're habits. They're just part of the daily grind. The whole purpose of a habit at a very base level is to make the mundane mindless. And to think about that, there's going to be some mundane things that you do in the course of a day that represent a lot of what you do in a day. And so are you going to be the one to rethink what the way to go about doing those things? Or are you going to be the one who feels the impacts of AI, seeing that that's something it can do well, because that's a repeatable task? Fundamentally, I feel that in order to make my mind more receptive to seeing the sort of the mindless things that I do every day, it's to start mixing up my day. And so it might be just taking an extra 1 or 2 minutes on the walk home, or when you're going to work, or who knows, to go a different path, to start to mix up your point of view. Just those little changes, I believe, can have quite a big impact on the way that you go about seeing the world. So that you start to see the changes in the world, changes that you can take advantage of to be someone who does something a different way. And to be someone who can even see the opportunities for you to use modern automation tools as something that help you to get through your day much quicker. So I feel like you're going to have a bit of a challenge in doing this. I think a lot of people will. I have a challenge. When you're walking or driving and you're going to take a different route, habits are going to try and fight back. They're going to fight for that right to survive in your brain. In fact, the very fact that habits are so stealthy in your brain, you could argue, is their own little survival technique. But you don't want that wiring that got you this far prevent you from going to the next step of doing something different. So that's why I deliberately choose to mix up my day, walk a different way to work, think about different ways of doing things that have always been done a certain conventional way, even just for the point of the exercise of feeling different in looking at things a different way. It might seem like a pointless exercise, like why spend an extra minute or two to get to your destination, both literally and figuratively. But what you might find is you observe something new. You upset that habit and start to prime yourself in some way to take advantage of new opportunities that you wouldn't have seen before because you were mindlessly going through the day. Who knows? You might even find some new meaning. That's my little musing. Tell me what you think. What mundane habits that you think are necessary have you broken? What new good habits can you introduce that are things that are actually new to you? There's going to be learning habits, for example, learning something new, learning an instrument, learning a language, learning something that isn't part of your standard day in the life, something that's outside your comfort zone. Enjoy.